Hello there, greetings from Zarzax IT Training and Projects. So in this tutorial, in our part 4 Julia programming tutorial, we are going to discuss about two more concepts like range as well as tuples. Okay, range as well as tuples fall under the category of the arrays itself with some minor difference between arrays, range as well as the tuple. Let's try to talk about, first we'll try to see okay how exactly the range works in Julia programming language. Range construct a range of object that goes from a start value to the end value, taking the specific number of steps of a certain size. Suppose you can have, suppose let's say if you want to display some elements, generally what we do in the range, we make use of the method called collect, and you give the starting number and the ending number, and you try to generate all the numbers which fall in between the starting number as well as the ending number. Let's try to work by taking some of the example of range using Julia programming language. Similarly, we'll try to discuss about the another family called tuples. Tuples are immutable in nature. The major difference between the tuples and the arrays, once the value is declared, so you cannot change in tuples. That also we will try to discuss by taking one simple example uh, with the help of Julia programming language. Let's start with the range concept. Suppose let us say I want to display some 10 elements which starts from 1 and ends with digit 10. So how we can display that one means we use the method called collect. So collect, next give the starting number. Let's say my starting number be 1 and have the colon here, and give the ending number. Let's say I want to generate 10 elements starts from 1 to 10. So let's okay, the ending number is my 10 here. Okay, shift and enter it. Let's see okay how it is going to generate the elements right from 1 to 10 by using the method called the collect. Now you can see here, so it has given me the elements right from 1 to 10 using the collect method in the concept of Julia programming language. In the same way, we can generate even the floating values also by using the collect method. Similarly, let's try to generate some floating point numbers. Let's say I want the elements from 1.5 till 5.5. Okay, 5.5. Shift and enter it. So it gives me all the elements which fall in between 1.5 and ending number 5.5 here. You can see here it has given me in the range of 1.5, and the difference between the first element to the next element as well as the third element is a 1 here. Similarly, it is also possible to have the difference in between the two elements. Let's say I want to have the difference between 1.5 and 2.5 be 0.5. It is possible using the range system. Same way, let's try to give our own predefined the difference while generating the number right starting from starting number to the end number. Similarly, I'll try to use the same method called collect. Now what I will do, I'll try to give the difference okay in between the starting number and the ending number. Let us imagine that my starting number be 1 and my ending number be, let's say, 100. Okay, and in between I want to keep the difference of 10. So what I will do, okay, so in the middle of starting number and the ending number you have to give the difference okay using the same comma separated value here. Again, I'll try to use 10 is nothing but the difference here. So it try to gives me the value right from 1 to 100 with the difference of 10 here. Let's try to execute this. So now you can see here it has generated me okay, it has given me the number with the difference of 10 here, which starts from 1, next the difference is 10, 11, 21, 31, 41, like that. I have the range up till 91 here. Same way, it is also possible to have in floating point also. Okay, floating point numbers also. let's say collect, I'll try to have floating point numbers now. Collect 1.5, 1.5. Next, let's see, my difference should be 0.5, and I will try to generate the number between 1.5 to 3.5. So it has given me with the difference of 0.5. Now you can see 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, 2.5, 3.0, as well as a 3.5. In the same way, it is also possible to display the numbers in a reverse order. Okay, reverse order. Suppose if you want to display the numbers in a reverse order, so what you can do is, so in the difference, you just try to give the negative value here. Let's say I want to display the numbers in a reverse order with a difference of, let's say, 20. So I'll have 100. Next, I'll try to give the difference of minus 20 in a reverse order. This minus indicates that I'm going to display in a reverse order here. Now next, my ending point here is 0. Shift and enter it. Let's see what elements it is going to display me as far as range is concerned. So you can see here my first number is 100, difference is 20, and it gives me the second element as a 80, next is 60, 40, 20, as well as a 0. Same way, it is also possible to create the variables also. We can store the elements in variable, like how we have stored, how we can store the array elements also. So next is what I will do, I'll try to create one simple variable called C1. I'll call the method called collect, and I'll try to have the range of 100 to let's say in reverse order. 20 I'll keep the difference, and my next ending number is 0 here. So let's shift and enter it, and you can see that value I have stored that value in C1, which is of the type integer 64. Suppose if you want to display, let us imagine that I want to display the third number. Okay, third number of the variable C1. So I can make use of the indexing system here. Always remember, in Julia programming language, indexing starts from 1. If you compare this one with the Python indexing starts from 0. This is the major difference between the Julia programming language and the Python programming language. Shift and enter it. Let's see what elements it's going to display, which is I have already given the index as 3 here. So as for my record, so it should give me the value as 60. So it has given me the value of 60 here. In the same way, it is also possible, there is another technique called AND. So if I want to display the last element of the range here, so I can make use of the method called AND. It will give me the last element of the range here, which is nothing but a 0 here. Understood? So I hope you are clear with the concept of range. In the same way, it is also possible, okay, there is another concept which is similar to the array system called tuples. Okay, the major difference between the tuples and the array is it is immutable in nature. That means once the value is declared, so you cannot change those values. We'll try to demonstrate, we'll try to learn by using the simple example here. So in tuples, let's try to create one array first, just to make the difference between the tuples and the array. So I have created one array. Let's say the array be 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma, let's say 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. So I have stored the values in A1 array variable. Okay, in the same way, let's try to, if you want to store the values using the concept of tuples, so what you can do is, let's say my variable be T1, and to declare the values in tuples, okay, we try to use the close bracket here. Okay, so this brackets are used. This is the major difference between the array as well as the tuples here. In the same way, let's try to declare some values 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Okay, next enter it. So enter it. It should display me just like how we have displayed it. You can see here, okay, it has displayed me, it has given me the value with 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 5. Suppose if you want to access the array elements, generally we make use of the indexing technique here. Let's say a1 of, let's say 1, a1 of 1, it gives me the element as 1. But in the case of, if you try to access using the concept of tuples, let's say t1 of, I want to access the element which is in the first index, which is nothing but the 1. Let's say what it gives me. Okay, generally it sends an error message that yeah, it has given me the value as the 1 here. Okay, so the major, I hope you are clear with the major difference between the array as well as the tuples here. Let's try to have one simple example by use. Okay, try to have the simple example using the tuples. Let me try to give the small heading here, student marks. Okay, let's try to display, or let's try to store the student marks using the concept of tuples. Okay, students records using tuple. Okay, tuple. So let's try it. Let's what I will do, I'll try to have marks using the variable called marks. Marks is equal to, let's say my marks are, let's try to have science first. Science equals to, okay, equals to, how you can declare the marks and tuples is science. In science, let us imagine that the students has scored 90 out of 100. Okay, this is how we store the data in using the concept of tuples. In the same way, let's try to have the another subject, let's say mathematics, let's say maths equals to imagine that the students has scored the marks, let's say 95 out of 100. Okay, out of 100. In the same way, let's try to have another one more subject, let's say English. Okay, English, say the students has scored 75 out of 100. That means this 75 and 100 we cannot change in the tuple technique. Okay, let me try to store these values in the variable called marks here. Now you can see my marks are stored using the concept of tuples, and those marks are stored in the variable called the marks here. So here I had committed one mistake. After English, just try to assign, okay, the equal operator here. Okay, so otherwise in all the values what you have given, okay, just try to provide the equal operator, otherwise it sends an error message. If I want to access, let's say I want to access the value of any subject, let's say marks, I want to access the value of, let's say, science. So you can access the value of science, okay, which is inside the tuple, okay, called marks, using marks dot science. So it should display me, it should give me the value as 90 comma 100. Now you can see here how, okay, the data are displayed using the tuple technique. Marks dot, if you want to access, if you want to display the value, say the science score, so just give marks dot science. In the same way, if you want to display the marks of mathematics, so you can follow the same procedure, marks dot match, shift and enter it. It should give me the value as 95 comma 100. It has given me 95 comma 100. In the same way, let's try to have the another variable called marks2, and I'm going to add some more data. Let's say, okay, I'll try to add one more subject called history equals to, let us imagine that the students has scored 18 out of 100. Same way, okay, I'll try to have another one, let's say sports equals to, the students has scored the marks, let's say 85 out of 100. Let's try to store this values in marks 2 tuple. Now you can see the values has stored. So I have two more records, let's say history subject as well as the sports one. Now next is, let's try to combine the subjects what I have stored in the marks 1 variable with the marks 2 variable. So to combine, there is a method called merge. Generally we use the method called merge to combine the two variables here. Merge, say merge, next is call the first variable which is nothing but my marks, next another variable which is nothing but my marks 2, marks 2, marks 2. Next is, let's try to execute this, shift and enter it. Shift and enter it. Now you can see, so all the marks are combined now. So you can see science, maths, English was in my marks variable, in this variable called marks. In the same way, okay, the other two subject marks like history and sports was in my marks 2 variable. Now it has combined and gives me the single tuple, okay, using Julia programming language. I hope you are clear with this concept. If you like the video, please subscribe my channel for upcoming please subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.